All right, LVMH, it stands for Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. Is making a takeover bid for Tiffany at about a 20% premium, and the market's actually bid it up about 30%. So on top of the premium they're offering, the market seems to think it could go a little bit higher. Let's focus first of all on LVMH, and it's quite interesting because I had just done a piece the other day, it was either Thursday or Friday last week, on Christian Dior, which has controlling interests in LVMH. And we touted some of the same brands we're going to talk about at LVMH because they're so tightly linked with the ownership position from Christian Dior. So let's start with, oh my goodness, there's so many different types of companies under here. I think, makeup, watches, jewelry, fashion and leather goods, wine and spirits. Let's just go that deep. First of all, let's start with leather goods. Louis Vuitton, Celine Dior, Givenchy, DKNY. These are some of their brands. Obviously, well-known brands. In makeup, also some of the same ones. Givenchy, Christian Dior, Fendi. I know all these brands, sadly, because I worked at the duty-free shop and I sold perfume for one summer. It was a long time ago. In watches and jewelry, Bulgari, De Beers, Zenith, Tag Heuer, Christian Dior again. Wine and spirits. This is the one that really fascinated me that I wasn't aware of at all, that this would be part of Louis Vuitton. And now that I see it's Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, Moet and Hennessy, of course. They own Dom Perignon, Belvedere, Vodka, Glenmorangie, excuse me. Wow, those are some unreal brands. So talk about high quality luxury branding. That's what LVMH is all about. Okay, and they're buying Tiffany's, which is probably the best known diamond retailer in the world. Pretty close. It's going to obviously fit really well with their De Beers and Bulgari lines here in their watches and jewelry. It's a natural fit. Okay, let's look at LVMH on its own before the acquisition. So let's go to our screen here, and we have the all those brands up. But let's jump to the LVMH model, and you can see over the past 20 years the returns have actually been really good and improving the last 10 years almost every single year, up to 23% now. Still undervalued. It's a great buy just on its own, just a great branding company in the luxury brand area, and this is a $179 billion market cap. Unreal. Okay, we just did our piece on Christian Dior, as I said. Go have a look at that one. That's also good. You can play it either way. It's almost the same. It's almost the same thing. Okay, now we got to look at Tiffany. We're going to look at Tiffany on its own and talk about the different scenarios. Okay, so I have here, I modeled in $100 because it was trading at roughly that yesterday. It's at 101 in our model here. So I wanted to say, okay, what rate of return do they need to earn, and what kind of growth in their capital? So basically they need to earn a 9% return on invested capital and grow at about 9%, which is well within their wheelhouse, what they've been doing for many years, really. It's kind of actually slightly below average. So I think picking it up at, when it was trading at 100 and it's offering 120 is actually very reasonable. Let's try and model 120. We'll put in an extra percent instead of 9%. Let's use 10. It's probably going to be hard to see on the video, but I'll assure you I put in 10 there. And it gets us to 110. So it's not enough. They're going to need to do a little bit more. Let's grow, instead of at 8.5, let's grow at 10%. And, okay, now we're getting to the 121. It says they offered 120 roughly. So we've pretty much modeled what's in there. Now, the market is saying actually it's worth more. Okay, I have an 18 times EV EBITDA. They've done other deals. The Bulgari deal was for 23 times EV EBITDA. So from that perspective, it could be more. Let's just see how much more return on capital we need to get to justify this $130 price it's trading at. And I just did 11, and that gets us to 131. That's close enough. So now you got to believe, Tiffany's can bring up their game through the branding genius of Louis Vuitton or LVMH. I think you can argue that it probably would, given the track record. Let's flip back. The track record of LVMH is this, earning more like a 23% return. It's not a stretch for them to say there's synergies to, I'm flipping back and forth here, from 8% up to 11. That's a 3% improvement in return on invested capital, completely justifying the 129 price that's trading at today. And I think it's very justifiable. So I'm very comfortable with this acquisition. I think it's a good one. I like LVMH on its own. I like Christian Dior, as I said, as a controlling interest in LVMH. Play it either way. You can play it by owning Tiffany's too, because who knows, Tiffany's. That might be the most interesting way to play it, because it sounds like the market believes there's going to be either another bidder coming in, or they might just say no and try and get a little bit more. We shall see. But either way, looks like a good deal to me.